Hi there, everybody. We're going to learn about text structure. We've talked a little bit about this before, but now you're going to have more of a chance to learn about the different text structures. We're going to talk about a few of them today. The first is called sequence. When an author writes about a series of events, he or she is using the sequence text structure. That should sound familiar to you, the word sequence, things happening in the order in which they happened. So many times biographies are written in a sequence because they tell the events in the order that they happened in that person's life. Here's a little flow chart that shows about Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King Jr. was born on January 15th, 1929. Martin Luther King led the Montgomery bus boycott in 1955, and Martin Luther King Jr. was killed on April 4th, 1968. Some words that help you identify if it is a text structure using sequence as its focus are things like dates, first, next, then, after, finally, before, during, or later. So giving you periods of time and showing how things could go in order. That is going to be the text structure called sequence. Another text structure that you're probably somewhat familiar with is called cause and effect. Pretty basic, makes sense, right? When an author uses cause and effect, they're writing about something that causes another event to happen, and they're using that cause and effect text structure. So a lot of books on science, other kinds of things are written about cause and effect. To think about it, the cause here, plates on the surface of the earth move. We know that. Remember my favorite talk about Pangea last year. The effect is that maybe an earthquake occurs. And actually there was an earthquake just recently in Salt Lake City. So those plates underneath us are always moving. Cause, the plates are moving. The effect is that there's an earthquake. Words are because, since, due to, as a result, unless, so, therefore, things like that. Cause and effect is another different type of text structure. Those ones are real pretty easy ones, basic ones I'm sure you're pretty familiar with. The next one is called compare and contrast. Again, you've seen Venn diagrams before. This is where you're talking about things, comparing them. What do they have in common? How are they the same? And contrasting, how are they different? What are their differences? So when an author explains how two things are alike and different, they're using a compare and contrast text structure. Venn diagram can show you here that monkeys and apes, we can compare and contrast them. Apes are larger, heavier, and don't have tails. Monkeys are smaller, they have a tail, live in South America. They both are hairy. They're omnivores, and they live in Africa. So when we're talking about compare and contrast, you might see words like different, same, similar, both, like or unlike, those kinds of words, because you are comparing and contrasting two things. The next type of text structure is called description or main idea and details. You might see it as either one. When an author describes a topic by listing examples or characteristics or giving kind of those sensory words in that descriptive text structure, obviously we know descriptive, we know description, main idea, and then those supporting details are the description. So sometimes people use a main idea chart as you see here. The main idea is that manatees are marine mammals. A detail is that manatees live in warm water, that manatees eat grass in shallow water, and that manatees come to the surface to breathe. When you're using this type of text structure, description or main ideas with those details, giving that description to support that main idea, you might have words like for example, for instance, such as, including, those kinds of things. Hopefully at this point you're thinking, wow, these are different kinds of the ways that authors write. And that is indeed true, but they're not too complicated. And if you were to read a paragraph, hint, hint, you will at some point soon, and decide which text structure the author is implementing, you can do that pretty easily. Another type of text structure is called problem and solution. That kind of says exactly what it is, right? An author presents a problem, and then they provide a solution, maybe more than one solution. That is a type of text structure. So maybe that's a persuasive kind of writing. Some books are written like that. Problem says, what is the problem that we're dealing with here? It says humans waste a lot of resources. What are some solutions? Sometimes there's one, sometimes there's many. To turn off the lights when they're not needed, perhaps to turn off water while you're brushing your teeth, to do a lot of recycling. Keywords when you're talking about problem and solution are the problem is, or to solve this, or one thing you can do, or one way, or the issue is. Those kinds of things help you understand that if you're reading a certain paragraph or a type of writing, a written piece, a passage, you can say, oh my gosh, okay, are they giving us a problem and then they're providing a solution? That must be that problem and solution text structure that is being implemented or used. So those are the 5 main text structures that I want us to think about. In review, sequence, where you're writing about something in order, the order that something has happened or someone has lived. Cause and effect. There is a cause, something that happens, and there is an effect, a result. Compare and contrast. How are things alike and how are things different? Whatever they're talking about in particular. Description. We're very descriptive. We give a main idea and we give all these details to support that main idea. And then problem and solution. So from here on out, I'll review these a few times and I'm going to give you some activities that you can complete related to identifying the type of text structure that is being used when you read a particular paragraph or some different paragraphs. All right, that was my first chance at using a screencast. I'm trying to work this out and see how this can go. So hopefully you did a great job of listening. It will stay here if you need to come back and check it anytime or if you want to re-listen to it. But here we go, online distance learning. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.